What's up guys, Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles, and today I want to talk about a completely different approach to the points and miles game. We're not going to do duos or trifectas, we're not going to try to fanboy any certain issuer, and we're going to come close to maximum flexibility as well as having all the perks and benefits of those full-on travel point setups. Sound good? Well, stick around because I'm going to talk about a theoretical credit card setup that starts with any one of the premium travel cards and is complemented on all sides with no annual fee, 5% cashback cards. If you're skeptical, stick around because I'm going to show you that it makes a lot more sense when you build it out. And there are a lot of advantages to this way as well. So if you're still here, consider subscribing, and if you actually like the video or it sparks some critical thinking, then slap that like button. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. Now, this is not some brand new way of thinking, and I understand that. This philosophy has been brought up before, but I don't ever remember a real deep dive into it. So today, let's talk about a setup that can do both. And we'll even talk about a couple different variants that could make more sense for you. First off, we're going to start this entire thing off with one of the premium travel cards, and the example we'll use can be the American Express Platinum card, the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, the Capital One Venture X, and with this one, we're even going to throw in the US Bank Altitude Reserve, and we'll talk more about why soon. This video is not an in-depth review of any particular card, so I'm going to assume you understand how each of these premium travel cards work and what each of them bring to the table. First things first, the boring stuff. We need travel protections. No one wants to think about them, but hey, we keep it real on this channel, and not everything is massages in overwater bungalows and beautiful women feeding us grapes. Some of it is. We also need stuff like rental car insurance, travel delay insurance, and purchase protections, right? Sorry to lead with that, but if you are going to travel, having the assurance of protections might let you sleep better at night. More importantly, in this setup, this is really the only card that will have perks, benefits, and cool stuff. Besides primary rental car insurance, sweet hotel programs, which it seems every issuer has now, this card may come with hotel status, car rental status, several credits or superpowers. Hopefully we can get some of that TSA pre-check or global entry credit and maybe some airport lounge access. The premium card may even have a superpower like the Altitude Reserve that can redeem for travel costs with a bonus. The points themselves don't have as much power as a normal setup, and you'll see why later, but if the card has the ability to redeem points for cash, we're going to take that as a huge bonus because most of our currency used in this strategy is going to be cash. So my advice would be to take a look at these cards and see which of them best suits your needs as a standalone card. And I would definitely give some credence to the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Altitude Reserve for their ability to cash out. Remember, with the Venture X, you can purchase travel and then erase the purchase with Capital One miles at 1 cent per point. So for these purchases, I think that is just as good as cashing the points out. With the Amex Platinum, you may have to give up a little, and I think for this use case, it might fall short of the other choices. Obviously, you could use either the Charles Schwab Platinum or a business platinum along with a business checking account to redeem MR points for cash at a good value. Okay, now we've gotten our travel, benefits, and perks card. Let's talk about some complimentary, no annual fee cashback cards. After that, we'll talk about how we can leverage this cash to travel or to be more flexible. No annual fee cashback cards aren't the easiest setup in the world. There is some work involved and you may need a label maker. Let me give you my setup as an example. For dining, I have the Redstone Federal Credit Union Visa. It's 5% cash back on dining, but it does have that $7,000 yearly cap. Obviously, if I'm going over, I will need to adjust fire. This is part of that work involved. For gas, I'll use the Abound Credit Union Visa. That gets 5% cash back on gas, no cap. By now, you'll notice I do like credit unions. You don't need to be as eccentric as me, but I like the way these cards work. For groceries, I'll use the AAA Visa, 5% cash back on groceries, and this one does have a $10,000 yearly cap. As a backup, I'd probably use the Citi Custom Cash, earns 5% cash back on your highest spending category with a $500 cap each billing statement or each month. I think I could integrate this card pretty easily and stay under the caps. Again, there's a little attention involved here. US Bank Cash Plus for me can cover home utilities and one other category. Right now, I really only use it for my utility bills, but I have a US Bank Cash Plus clone from a local bank that I use for 5% cash back for entertainment, which does include sports tickets like Bengals season tickets and movies and concerts and stuff like that. It gives me 5% cash back on recreation as well, and that includes sporting goods stores like Dick's. I would also throw in a couple common 5% cash back quarterly cards like Discover It and the Chase Freedom Flex, as well as the Chase Amazon Visa. And with that, we can get 5% cash back on just about everything. Comment below with the 5% cashback cards you might use. There's no shortage of them. And for your catch-all non-category, that should be something that gives you at least 2% cash back. And guys, if you are looking for more information on your next card, check out my super organized card link in the description below. Using my link, of course, helps the channel. And if you used my link in the past, I sincerely appreciate it. Every month or every quarter or however you see fit, we'll withdraw that cash back and place it in our travel fund. Depending on how often you plan to travel, this can be a checking account or a checking plus high yield savings account. So what can we do with this cash back? Well, we have in the past talked about when it is a great idea to purchase points. So there is always that option, and oftentimes we forget that you can actually purchase travel with cash. Oh, and when you do that, you earn points. This strategy has several advantages, so let's quickly talk about it. This setup allows us to really earn a lot of rewards. 5% cash back on almost everything is nothing to sneeze at. Earning cash back allows us to de-risk in several ways. We won't be hit when the value of a certain points currency devalues, or maybe even an entire program. It happens, and it happens frequently. How about less risk when it comes to exposure from one certain issuer? Let's say you probably won't have to worry about your 524 status. What about the risk involved in some type of life change and you can't travel for the next year? You're not stuck with 20 travel cards that have fees. And you're not stuck with 500,000 travel points. No, you earn cash. And it turns out that you can do other things with that cash. So there are more options. This also lets you shop for the best price. So there's no real debate on what type of value you are getting. And one big one is no annual fee cards are relatively cheap to hold. But here's the best part of all. You don't have to spend hours and hours searching for award space, researching partner programs, and all the things that frustrate so many people. You just find the flight you want, at the price you want, and you purchase it. You'll save hours and hours doing it that way, and you'll always be earning on those purchases. So what about these variants? What if you're a road warrior and the airport lounge access maybe doesn't make any sense to you? Maybe substitute those premium travel cards with a high-end hotel card. The American Express Hilton Aspire, or Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant, or maybe even the Chase Ritz-Carlton card. Great choices. I think this strategy is a great fit for the following people. If you travel domestic economy, if you travel infrequently or sporadically, or if you just don't have the time to learn the ins and outs of points redemptions. Who is this setup not for? Well, if you want to travel international business class, you'll need travel points. Cash is just too expensive, and also if you are a very low spender. Earning 5% cash back with low spend won't add up very quickly, especially if you're on a lower income. This strategy is tough for some folks to get their head around because they don't consider travel points the same as cash, even though, in my opinion, most travelers would likely do better with a cashback setup, because unless you're earning a high cent per point value on that redemption, cashback will oftentimes earn more. Not to mention, it's much more flexible. And if you do graduate into a full-blown travel setup, there's no reason to cancel any of these 5% cashback cards. Guys, think about it, and that is it for me. Tell me what you think of a strategy like this, and do you think you could ever run one? As always, if you've stayed all the way to the end, I thank you and I appreciate every single one of you.